Bible of Fire.
I can't name it!
I always knew we were some kind of cult. I didn't realize we were going this way.
I've gone to a professional fire performer camp 3 times. This last time I was teaching at it. And I don't profess to be, like, you know, a big I know everything kind of guy, and I make a lot of mistakes. But I did learn a lot of things at these camps that I want to share. So I don't know where everyone's at as far as how much they know. So I'm going to start from the beginning, and if you're bored, I'm sorry. Alright, so I'll make the odd joke so you don't fall asleep on me. That is the fuel dump. Treat it as if it is very sacred, as if whatever God you believe in lives in that can. As in, give it at least 10 feet around.
I'm just going to point out to the class about smoking next to the fuel.
Yeah, dude, seriously. Don't care, man.
Is this used heat or spark or whatever?
I can't let that stuff slide during a safety class. And I'll say it again. The fuel dump is sacred. Your God lives in there. It gives you this awesome, awesome fire that we love so much. Please treat it with the most respect you have in your soul, because it will fucking turn on you if you don't. Wrath and brimstone and fire will rain upon you. I have a friend who's been horribly, horribly burned because a fuel dump went up and they tried to be a hero and tried to move it while it was still lit. She's 3 years later, she's still in, has post-traumatic stress and seeing a shrink. Like, it was horrible. Don't do that. When you're fueling, I don't know how many of you people have lit up or not, but you really don't need to leave your wicks in the fuel that long. A couple seconds until the bubbles stop, that's all you need. If you can't get any more in at that point. If you let it soak for minutes and minutes, you're just kind of being annoying for the next person that wants to fuel up. And these people will go quickly, shake off their tools, and shake fuel onto your handles and onto your leads. And I've seen that happen, where people have just sort of left their poi, and either the handles got knocked in and someone pulled them out, or someone else fueled and sort of shook their stuff off. Then that person comes back, goes to light up, and their hands go up in fire, and they're stuck with these fires on their hand because their handles were soaked. It is a great idea to not use synthetics, because what can happen is if you burn and you get clothes that are synthetic fibers on fire, they will burn you, and they will burn into your skin and get stuck there. Like, you know, melted plastic will fuse with your burned skin, and it will become a big, complicated, horrible, painful mess. After you've got the fire out, this terrible polyester, whatever, PVC, whatever you're wearing, is still hot and still burning you, even though the fire's gone.
Just like melted sugar.
Exactly like melted sugar. So it creates an additional hazard. Again, I'm not going to tell you not to exactly, but be aware of what you're doing. If you take a little dollar store spray bottle, like for ironing or watering plants or whatever, and just mist yourself with water, 9 times out of 10 the fuel will burn up before it gets through your clothes. And that's enough to keep you safe. Same with hair. If you've got hair products in, mousse, gels, whatever, a little mist of water goes a long, long way. It gives you another second or two, and a second or two is an eternity when it comes to burns. Typically your skin burns after about 3 seconds, but it sort of depends on the area. After 5 seconds, you're in the neighborhood of 30 degrees. It happens really quickly. What we're doing is silly and dangerous, and fire gets really hot. It sounds really obvious, but I'll say it again, fire gets really hot. With the fuels we're using and the tools we're using, it gets about 800 to 900 Celsius, which is very hot. And when the fire goes out, it is still very, very hot. And it's important to sort of keep those numbers in mind, because if you have exposed metal on any of your tools, it can heat up to, say, 600-700 degrees. The flash point of that fuel is minus 18 degrees, so you can totally spark it up even though your fire's hot. The flash point of white gas is minus 18 Celsius. It can ignite at minus 18 Celsius. It does not need to be warmed. Not even remotely. Heat transfer off of metal is much higher than the Kevlar. It's to keep the heat from traveling from where the fire is to where your hands can go. So that metal right around the wick sucks, but it sucks more if there's no dowel inside. Also, the grips can actually get really hot and terrible. So have that if you're a staff spinner. Some things to know is burning is probably the least of your worries. Burns, as horrible and terrible and as afraid of them as we all should be, they're the least of our worries. Ingesting the fuel unlit is far more dangerous, should you ever happen to do that from whatever you're doing, and complications from the burns. If you were, say, playing with poi and you do a wrap, and you wrap around your wrist, and it goes wrong and it burns your wrist, that sucks. What sucks more is the healing process can cut off the circulation to the rest of your hand, and if you don't realize what's happening, it could have to get amputated. If you're not using Kevlar as a wick, stop and use Kevlar. That is something you should throw away. Cotton,
Danger case.
I know some people that use it, but it's terrible. It flakes off and can fly at your audience or yourself. It can fly at the ground and light things up. You don't want wicks falling apart. It's terrible. Also, don't use steel wool. It's stupid.
It's fun.
It is fun and it's cool and you can take wicked ass pictures with it. It is incredibly stupid though. You are shooting fire at least like 50 to 100 feet away from you. And all you see is white and sparks and you have no idea what's going on. So if you find yourself in 3 acres of parking lot that's empty, go nuts. But that's a controlled environment thing. Yeah, and don't let your wicks get really old and frayed, because that's the same as terrible cotton that'll just fly off of people. If you have poi, check your quick links, check your materials, make sure your shit isn't gonna fall apart before you light it up. That's a bad thing. And if you use ball chain, try not to, but if you do, check it very carefully. What can happen is it can rust on the inside, because white gas can corrode metal. And you won't really know. And I've seen ball chain break. Even the big, heavy number 2 stuff that people think is impossible to break, it breaks. Trust me. Nothing is impervious to rust.
You were saying a good alt to ball chain, right? It's what swivels with socks?
Yeah. Twisted link chain with swivels works at least as well, but is 1,000,000 times stronger. That goes wrong in 2 ways. One, the fuel inside the ball can light up and you get more fire than you intended, and it can just swing around and fly out of places. And rust, which can fuck you up weeks and months later.